Welcome to another episode of Weekend Chart Talk, brought to you by DayTraderSetups.com. We'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel while you're watching this video just by clicking the subscribe button, and stay up to date when we put out the new Weekend Chart Talk videos, along with all the other videos that are available on our Day Trader Setup YouTube channel. We have TC2000 training videos. We put out trading recaps from time to time, and just general trading ideas that we use at DayTraderSetups.com. So please subscribe to our channel. We appreciate you watching. Welcome to the weekend video. I'm going to start out by giving you a look at the bear and bull recaps at the end of the week like we did on the last video. This video, I'll spend a little more time teaching about how to utilize what these are showing you. And we've added a few things a couple days ago to help you more if you haven't been watching our daily videos. We're showing this at the end of each day's video. We start out with the daily breaks and then go through those stocks that were added to the weekly and what came up on the daily, and we're giving you a look at this entire process day after day. This was Fridays, this was Thursdays, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, and Mondays breakouts last week, and then Tuesday night we'll have this will shift over a day, and everything will shift a day. So you can continue to see how they're progressing for 4 days. I keep them on here 4 days after they show up. They keep just shifting over one group, and they keep referencing the price at which they originally triggered from the first day is the price that stays here. The profit will continue to show the profit based on this trigger price from day one. So way over here we're still referring to the trigger price on day one. What the profit shows is based on the trigger price. So like this stock, for instance, based on the trigger price, this is a bear stock, still profitable $1.08. Now this was a 5-day ago alert. At the low point during this 5-day period, this was up $3.92 a share. Nuvia, another stock, trigger price still up $3.97. At the peak, at the low, since the trigger 5 days ago, up $5.49. PLAY, another one, triggered $53.58 5 days ago. And of course that was a gap down. So this is one to where the 978 at the low, based on this price, was the profit, and it's still 566 profit, but it's bounced for days. And the reason that'll be not available to you really because of the giant gap down. So when you see a giant gap down stock, and you see when I show it on the charts, the little red line of what it triggered at would be way back above. And I'll show you PLAY on a chart here in just a second, where you can get a better look at it, at what I'm talking about. So when you got a big gap down, a lot of that profit was in that gap. Of course, that wouldn't be tradable for either one of us because it's already passed. I'm going to show you where the gap, all you got to do is look at the price here, 53.58 on the chart. You can see my little cursor right here on this chart. It was right in that area there. So we're calculating profit back to there, and of course that wasn't available. That's what I mean by that. You didn't have a chance to make this amount of money. But if the ones that don't gap down or gap down very little, then this is a lot of times exactly what you could have made. We're going to progress you through what these lines mean to you and how you can use them to help you stay in a trade. And you can see most of this stuff is cooled off, and we're going to pull this watch list out and lay it over a big chart where we can take a closer look. I want to go ahead and let you see all of these stocks like we did last week. So you've now had a chance to see everything that's on that list in the bears, and we're going to pull the bulls up as well. Let you see those, and then we'll start getting into some charts. These are all the bull breaks last week. Get you that whole view in here if we can on the weeklies. Of course, I open these up so you can pause and get a look at the entire watch list. I'm going to slide it down so you can see what's on the bottom. You can pause the video and see everything that broke out on the weeklies. And weeklies are much better long-term swing trader tool. Your dailies may give you 3 to 5 days of daily run. They could be the beginning of a 2-month run, but they may very well run up for a few days and then start back in their cycles of pulling back going forward. That's what stocks do. They run up, they retrace some, they run up again, they retrace some more. So the daily bull breaks are real good for 2 and 3 day swings. They could open up, if you put them together with a weekly, there could be a breakout going on there, and you could be setting up a multi-week run. You could also use the dailies for a 2 or 3 day option trade. Make sure you saw all of these. Friday was a lot of stocks broke out on Friday, even higher again. Some of them were coming back in on the bulls again. They had been there multiple days ago. Let's see if I can get all these in for you. That was a big day on Thursday as well. Not as many broke out on Wednesdays. Make sure you get a good look at the entire list here. Again, you can pause this to see a longer look at all the stocks. There's going to be a few more on the bottom there yet to come. Be opening this up for you as well. Now you've had a chance to see visibly in the video every single stock that came out in the last 5 days and the weeklies on both the bull and the bears. I'm going to start breaking this down, and I'm going to pop some of these out just like we normally do daily and move them into the chart where we can see a bigger part of the chart like we normally do each day. And then we'll look at some charts in detail. Okay, back on PLAY, and I mentioned this on another stock that went straight up during the week. When you see these monstrous moves in one day, with or without the gap, these are not a swing trade setup. Most of the time, they're going to either fade back, they could come back for a day or two, sit. They can go lower, but it's so far out of kilter, a big move is generally going to be not predictable of what it may or may not do. PLAY has bounced back up through this support resistance line. Did a really great job. We actually had it on day trade a couple times this week. Intraday, it gave a big move the third day after, and then the next morning it opened up right on this support resistance line that we showed the day this gap down, and tested it and came up and closed above it and then gapped up, had another big day on Friday. It's not a swing trade either direction as far as I can tell. If you like to fade a move like this, then that's a different trade setup that a lot of people will take. It's not predictable. It may be profitable, and that's traded by a lot of traders and traded well. You just need to be nimble. I'm just going to grab a couple of these random where I can see where they're at. This stock, as you can see, doesn't show any of my lines. So it's not in a momentum continuation to the downside, even though it broke hard the other day. It's just chopping around. On the weekly chart, I mean, this stock can go either way. I don't really have an opinion. A lot of these stocks have just went inside days for several days now. Here's another one that's down below the support line and is trying to get back through it. And it may gain momentum back to the downside. I don't know at this point. I know from the time it alerted, it was $3.92 profitable at the bottom off that alert price. Nuvia. Okay, this is not still in the bull zone or bear zone. This is the new bear zone level. When this stock broke out, it's $57.37 is where it broke out, which was after it got into this gap day, and that came in right here. That was $57.37 on that first big down day intraday. So intraday, this alert went out on our website at this price. That night I showed it to you on Monday night on the video for breaking down into the bear zone at $57.37. And you can see that value plotted right here. Currently the stock's $3.97 profitable, $5.49 at the very bottom. So it's bounced a little bit. It's still got the momentum to continue down further. I'm not sure what it's going to do at this point. Didn't break down on a weekly. It did try to test into a weekly bear zone at the very bottom this week, and it's pulled back a little bit. It may go ahead and take that out, so that'll be the next place to watch for this, is on a weekly bear zone if it's going to continue down. Looking at a weekly chart, which I'm going to do, you see I show this progression many times, going up to a level, pulling back, and then going again. So it's had a big down week. It's back into the 200 week, and it could easily, now that it's based for a couple of days, try to go back up. And if it does, like I say, this is a progression. It came from the top, target 1, a little pull back into resistance, target 2, all the way to the bottom to my lower pivot. So this is kind of at a decision level here. Does it go further down, or does it try to head on back up? If this was some kind of reversal pattern, this would not be unusual sometimes. Something obviously triggered the pullback on the big day the other day and broke down through the 50. It's done a pretty big pullback here. So anyway, it's worth watching either direction at this point. If I were still short, I'd have probably covered here. And my bull zone, you can see here, this recalculates every day as this progresses down. It triggered at 57.30. That's my breakdown price. As it continues down, my bear zone, gets lower and lower as the stock goes lower. So as it comes back up, it'll have to come back down through a different level. The original level was the 57.30 we were talking about up here. This is the recalculation now of the bear zone. So once it got back above that level is the reason this indicator at the bottom has dropped down. That's the reason you no longer have the check box. out here that it's still in the bear zone. It's bounced enough now that it's come back out of the current bear zone level. It still has my trend stability here, which means this high has not come high enough to cause that to not be intact anymore. So this could definitely be resting for more down. If it goes on up above this level, it's going to take that out, and it's probably done with this move. You know, it provided a multi-day trade from its trigger point at 57.30. Gave a great day down 2 days in a row. Could have continued. If you took an option position, you'd have had 2 nice days to get out and about a $4 move. $5.49 total at the bottom off the trigger price intraday. It actually the next day bounced slightly. If you picked this up at night and was watching it the next day when it went up, you would have had a chance to pick up some puts even cheaper. All of these stocks 4 days ago have now faded away. Of all the strength indicators to continue down, that don't mean they don't. Another thing I wanted to show was going back one more day. There's a stock on AYI. We're going to get on it real quick. I want to show you what these indicators don't mean. Okay, we're still on a daily chart. I'm going to switch over to AYI. This was another big gap down stock, like I talked about on PLAY. What this don't mean when you lose this check mark is it's not in the bear zone anymore. It don't mean it's clear buy signal to go long. This stock has had a couple of nice days. The second day from my alert at 162.69. Right now still holding $3.95 profit from that level, but from that level to the peak at the bottom down here, it went to $9.31. So the second day gave another nice, it gapped up that day. It went up even higher, and then from the bounce up to the 161 level, pretty much that stock ended up dropping $10 that day. So it opened higher, gave a bounce, ended up continuing back down in the pattern, went all the way to this low, which I showed you this line on the chart when I featured it breaking down on Tuesday. This was the breakdown level around 162.69. This was on our charts. This is why I provide our subscribers with ways to plot these same lines on their charts. The value of this line is $153.28. It's where this stock bottomed out, pivot low, back on the week of September the 22nd. Old support, supported again for now. The low of this candle on this particular day was 153.38. That was 10 cents above that line. This stock bounced that day after falling it opened up that morning, went back up to around 161, then faded away during the day. Now the open bar gapped down to that level on that pink line. So it went right to the pink line on the open. 10 cents above that low. Bounced in 30 minutes, $10 or $8. Then it faded about $6 down, and then it progressed its way back up very slowly through that day. This little pink line right here was another pivot low that was plotted prior to the last time at 157.33. Going back on the weekly, when you made that last weekly low in September, it actually had pierced down and tested this previous low of 157.33. That's what this other pink line is on this chart. So that's two pivot levels. The first day down, it pretty much held that line. The next day, it broke that level and pushed down, and when it did, it recalculated that low, but it was there for you to see on the chart as well. Now, this line right here falling down on my chart is nothing but a recalculation, and it's replacing this line on this chart. So 157.33, which was plotted back in June pivot low prior to that lower low in September, the low of day 157.84, on Friday. So it's trying to hold this level. Main thing I want to point out is, one, being aware of the levels. It's why I show you the charts. It's why I toggle through them each night, even though I may not comment on the charts, to give you an opportunity to view what may or may not be support or resistance. That's what these pink lines are about, and that's the reason I draw the chart out. Let you look at this watch list at the beginning of the video. You can look at your own charts. You don't even have to watch the video. There's your list. You get a chance to look at it right in the beginning of the video. Then at the end, I give you the recap like we're looking at today, 5 days going forward. But the one thing I do by toggling through those charts is let you see where potential support might be. And that's exactly what happened on this chart. So that's why I'm trying to spend a little more time in education today of how important old support and resistance lines are, and this is why we have them on our charts. If you are a subscriber to our service, we give you a way to plot these on your charts, the pink and green lines. Thinkorswim, I have the script for that. I have scripts for TC2000, and then on TradingView, I'll grant you access to the script. You don't even have to pay to use that. Don't even need real-time data, and I'll access you the scripts that you can access and look at your charts on. That also includes my pivot system and my target lines over there. As long as you're a subscriber to our service, you're available to use that. The Thinkorswim and TC2000, you can continue to use the green and the pink lines. They just don't include my target lines. UPS was another stock I spotted during the week. I wanted to show how using the yellow lines and the green line on the daily and weekly recap going back 5 days. I'm going to pop that bull out for you. UPS came out on a daily bulls on alert at, let me get the exact price for you, 121.71. So right in this area on this day. So intraday we gave this alert 121.71. Now I don't have it in a list like you see over here because it's been over 5 days. So where I'm not looking back over 5 days, I just grabbed you a random so I could show you what this chart continued to show you. This also broke out on our weekly bull zone. Get you that exact price at 122.34. Same day actually, so it came in the weekly bull zone and the daily bull zone. This is still very much intact. So we broke from here and we've continued up 9 days now, for a total of a $14 move. Again, the weekly came in the same day as a weekly bull zone breakout. So the daily can give you a few day move. Maybe you got in this and you made you a couple of days move for $5 or $6. Decide to get out here. That's fine. If you're a swing trader, it was on the weekly swing trade, and you say, hey, I'm going to stay in this. It's got the momentum. I'm not getting out. Then you've continued on up for another $8. From our original break on the daily, was it 121.71 intraday that day, and the weekly was at 122.34 intraday, same day as this broke out. What I want you to see here is how you go through and utilize this list that I show at the end of every video. I give the list of every stock going back 5 days. What happened on UPS, it had the bull zone break here. It maintained the bull zone the entire period. So as the bull zone recalculated itself day in and day out, this inside bar, this little doji bar, still maintained this yellow line on this chart. Also, the second day in, my trend stability came in. That's measuring the lows. Are the lows so strong that I can keep this active? That's what this green bar is. So even if a stock pulls back on the bull zone, because the bull zone is getting higher and higher, maybe it has a down day and closes down a little bit and loses its bull zone status, when it crosses back up the next day, it'll be back on a new alert. But even though it loses its bull zone status, it maintained the trend stability, which is, it didn't go low enough to get concerned. So that's why I've added this midweek to your reviews. So we're keeping the strength of the implied move. That's all this is telling you. I call it the power, but it just means the implied move higher. The momentum is still there. It can lose this and continue to go up. This is the momentum, like for a multi-day swing trade. This thing's still in there. It never lost it a single day. That's this solid yellow line. I don't have to show you the chart to show you the line. I can just give that to you quickly at night. And then the measuring of the weakest days, the lows, even this low still maintain this trend stability. That's what this green line is going to tell you. The green check mark is telling you, even on these little days, are we maintaining our bull zone, which is calculating higher day in and day out as this progresses up? Yes, we maintain it all the way. So this is maintain the checks and the lines every single day. That's how you're going to utilize this. AGN, I want to show you right here. It doesn't have the check mark. We brought this out into the bull zone the first day right here. That's the big green up. It's trying to move up. You're not even getting to see this. As it's moving along, it's trying to go. It's fighting the 50-day. It's also fighting this pink line. This is a support resistance line back from before. It held day after day after day. This line was drawn on the low of this day. That created a support level. That same line, all these lows of these multiple days held that line. Finally broke it the next day and held it. So it pinned it and supported it. It gapped up the next day, didn't go into a bull zone, and then sold off for 5 more days and made new lower lows. Now this is your resistance line. That's what this pink line is. Where it held all these days, that was support. Now that it's below it, it's resistance. So as it comes back up, it tries to get through. It can't. It just keeps punching. It never can break out. Fades again. This particular day, it finally got back up and closed. Had a nice strong day. You can actually see that my little power level, which we're not scanning for and sharing, actually came in as the first sign of strength on this candle. Each day after that, it kept holding this old low again, where it tried to support for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It held it, pierced it, closed above it, pierced it, closed above it, got above the 50, came back the next day on a gap down below the 50, pinned it again and closed above it. And then this day is where we gave you our bull zone. It broke out. The level that it broke out is right here. 174.66 was the number on that day of that break, which is right about where I got my crosshairs. See if I can get it a little bit closer. Right about there. It's 3 cents off on this day. It's a big chart. I'm trying to get it back in there for you. That's a dime below right there. That's where it broke out at. The next day, it gave you a pullback. The bull zone went away. This yellow line stayed intact. So when you looked at this on the second day, the check mark was not there, but the yellow line was still there. Trend stability still hadn't been reached on this on the lows. It's still trying to get out of this zone here. It went back into bull zone territory again. Now the bull zone territory, the second break, actually that's what this level is, 174.66. I'm going to make sure. No, this is still your original. This is still your original break right here. The second day that it went back into the bull zone, the level it actually had to clear for that green bar to come back up there was 175.96. But this was still the break at 174.66. But for this to be true again, it had to be a little higher high. So it broke back into bull zone again. It's still, the bull zone is still rising, okay? The bull zone now is all the way up to 177.84. That's the green line right now. So for it to go back bull zone and keep this check mark in, it's got to break 177.94. It's still above our breakout price by $1.39 from 4 days ago. This is still intact to try to break higher. The low of the day on Friday brought the trend stability in. First day it showed up. All these other days, this is still a green dotted line. My trend stability, which measures how lows the lows are compared to our progression in this trade, actually finally had a high enough low for that to show up. This stock on a weekly chart is way oversold and really has a lot of upside potential. You see this pink line right here. This is a resistance line. I'm going to show this to you on a weekly. This is why our subscribers have these lines on their charts, and they can go to any time frame and look. I want to show you the weekly on this chart. Way oversold. Trying to bounce that we've been looking at. This is 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks in a row it progressed. 2 green bars on the weekly. This is our next resistance line going way back here. We had a weekly support created at 186.34. It had bounced for the next week, came back down, made a new lower low at 184, I believe it's 75, right in that area. 184.50 actually was the lowest of these two, which was right here. 184.50 is now resistance. Once we broke down, and we spent months down here, but you got a $8 move from here to there. But that's going to be resistance when it gets there. The prior resistance level that it took out when it created this first level here, you can go back on your weekly and find it if you're using our system. 195.50 was the previous low that it breached through at this time. That's where this line continued to plot right here for a while. And if I went over to a monthly chart, I'm probably not even going to have that. It's been so long since it's been down in that area. Look at what this has done on a monthly chart. These were monthly bull breaks. Bull break on the monthly back here. Way back here, of course. Another little bull break there. Followed around, continued on up. This was the first bear break on a monthly chart. Of course, it had it on the dailies way before that. But look at the progression here. Target 1, based a while, long while. Now it's at target 2. This is a pretty big retracement on the stock. Overall, the big picture. This is a very likely spot for this to make a reversal on the big picture of things. Again, if you're using our charts, even if you're using Thinkorswim, you could still sign up for TradingView so that you can pick up these levels on your charts for no charge, just for reference, because I do grant access to these formulas on TradingView, as long as you're a subscriber to our service. Back on the daily chart, you've got about $8 up to this line right here. This is still intact on this break, and this is one of my stocks that I watch regularly for trading intraday. Next chart I want to share is APC, and it broke into the bull zone here, right below the 200 day. Across the 50 day, that's your blue line. Orange line's the 200 day. On this day, it broke into my bull zone. After this long consolidation, when you're looking at these charts that I bring to you on the bull zone breaks, look at your consolidation period. The more consolidation you've had, the higher probability that this is going to work into a multi-day move. My scanners monitor what it takes to make this become a true statement. Also, this particular day, the trend stability came in. So the low of the day qualified for that. This stock, from this day forward, if you see this at the end of the day or even intraday, you know you got your 200 to contend with. You got a green line on my chart. That's an old place that's gone to and rejected, which was not created by this bar. It was even back further. That's continued to plot forward. You've got resistance here. It's tried to get through it one time, stayed up there for about a week and lost it again. It went right to resistance on that day. The high of that candle was $50.13. The line was $50.16. And I can give you that level because I'm looking at this box over here. There's a bunch of green numbers and a bunch of pink numbers. They represent these lines. So you put your mouse on a chart, or I put my mouse on a chart. I see about where I'm at. I go over and look in the box, and I pick up the exact to the penny price. This stock went 3 cents of that price and rejected that day. If I'm in a day trade, I use these lines for exit purposes. I know I'm going to get a pullback when I get there. Now, it may be a day that breaks on out. If it is, then I get right back in it once it gets above it, because usually it'll break intraday above it and come back and retest it in the next couple of bars, 5 minute, 10 minute, and I want the retest. I can almost count on it. But you can almost count on it on the daily chart too. It doesn't make any difference. These candles interact the same way. day in and day out, any time frame. You can take the lines I give you and put them on a 60-minute chart and watch it break an old high and come back and visit it and then break on out. Happens every day, all kind of charts. This stock the next day, you want it to get through the 200 and you want to get through this level. It opens above the 200, pierces it, holds it, breaks above here. That's your entry. You don't rush in on a day of a bull zone when you see the 200-day and resistance. So that's how you utilize our lines as a subscriber. It's also how you utilize them when I take the time to toggle through all these charts. I know it makes a long video, but if you're interested in swing trading, it's worth your wait. That's what you're watching the videos for. You can take the chart yourself. I give you the list at the very beginning of the videos. I pause it and allow you to look at every stock that alerted today. You can stop that video right there and go to your charts and look as quickly as you want to at anything you want to look at. I take the time to further go into the video and just toggle through the charts 5 or 10 seconds and let you see the resistance levels that are at hand on my charts in case you don't have them. I also will throw a comment in there sometime, and this would be the type stock I'm going to comment on because of this base. I'm going to say I really like this setup because you're breaking the 50, and I'm also going to throw that in, watch out for your 200. But pretty much I just try to roll right through them. A lot of them I don't make any comment, and I'm trying to do that so I can show you every chart if you want to look at them. If you don't want to look at them, catch the watch list at the beginning. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. This is primarily put out for my subscribers. I don't have any obligation to anybody not subscribing. My obligation is to try to help my subscribers manage their trades or know that their momentum is still intact. That's what the yellow bar is about. When I show you these stocks, the more little bars I have down here, the stronger the implied move. Sometimes I just have a yellow bar. It has to gain momentum. This was trying to break out back here and didn't. Now, the reason you see this trend line on here, I drew this for a friend that was looking at this stock around here. It had done broke all this way, and he had asked me about a swing trade on it. I think this might have been when they announced a buyback or something. And I drew this top, which is your channel. It's created a channel that has been in. This has got to break the channel. I said, put this trend line on your chart. I think he had actually gone long and it was fading for 2 or 3 days. I said, watch your, and he's chasing it now from down here, but he's still, the news he wanted to get in it. I said, draw this line, and once you get out above the channel, you want to hold it. This is just a little tool you can do. It pierced the channel here, spent these days sideways, finally closed above the channel, opened at the channel, went up, pulled back, held the channel, gapped up the next day, pierced the channel, nice day above the channel. Every day it kept testing the channel. This was a support at this point in time. The top side of the channel. And then finally it broke on out again. My trend stability came back in. Finally, at this point, it finally made a high enough low for that to show up. And then it broke back into the bull zone on this day, which is a new calculated level different from down here. You know, when it first broke out, the level was $50, $49.77 actually. Well, I got on the wrong day. I'm sorry. Hold on. The breakout was $48.90 when it broke out on this day right here. Now it's recalculating the bull zone at all times. This is the current bull zone now, and when it had this big monster day the bull zone was all the way up at 58.19, which was way up in here because it's done got so stretched out. Now you notice there's no power levels here now, so this doesn't show up on my scanner. I'm only, because I don't know what this is going to do, I'm going to show it to you on my scanners. And the reason I make sure this is involved in the scanners is I want you to have the biggest opportunity. This implies more strength in this breakout, and I make that part of my scans. So here, this doesn't show back up just because it broke the bull zone, because it's already so far out there. I don't know that it's going to be a big strong trade for you the first few days. I want you to get in a profitable trade for the first few days, and then you manage your trade. On the weekly, this broke into the bull zone way back here. It's maintained the bull zone the whole way. This is slightly, now that first week was pretty strong. It's now picking up. It's had trend stability for every week here. And it's now this past week starting to pick back up my little power level that I like to see. So it's got enough price momentum that on the weekly it's starting to get stronger. Now it's not a nice tight base, so I'm not like in love with this. But this is gaining strength and probably does a continuation. Of course, you all know this sector's moving. This is not a stock alone. But these are the kind of things I'm trying to teach you to utilize in what I'm bringing to you in these watch lists at the end of the days. I'm going to just randomly pick up a couple of stocks here. You can see the little chart right over here. Kind of zoom it in a little bit where you can get a closer look. This is that same APC chart we were just looking at. Here's the weekly down below as well. And I'm just going to randomly pick a couple of these out just to see where they're at. I haven't looked at any of these yet. The ones I talked about earlier I'd already looked at and thought they were great opportunities to teach from. This stock, let me open this up just a little bit, broke into the bull zone back here. It's to pull back for days, lost its mojo, and this is a little more volatile stock, and now it came back in the bull zone 2 days ago, and it's got some strength in it, and it picked up the trend stability right here. And I also want you to look here at the weekly. This is why you look at both. This weekly chart, this is that resistance line. It's showing up on the weekly. Now, as I'm showing you these every day, I may see the line and comment about that weekly. We're breaking out on the daily. But on the daily chart, this level right here lines up exactly with that weekly level. It's showing up here at $32.54. I'm going to do it down here on my weekly so I can see if that is exactly the same line. One of the pink numbers right here says $32.54. So on the daily, we're seeing this same line. On the weekly down here, this stock has chopped here for about 8 weeks. Trying to get through. Finally gets up here and opens just above the line, and the entire week the low was 32.67. Our line is 32.54. So the low of this week spent there the whole time. Now Monday, I believe this was Monday. Yes, Monday, this stock sold off down through that level again. Tuesday it came back up through it. So that's what you get, this pierce right here. This opened the week on Monday, went out through that line, By the end of day Tuesday, it was back above its open of the week and had pinned that line, retested it, and closed above it. Little doji bar right here. This is decisions. And you can read these on hourlies. You can read these any way you want to. But here's your doji bar. When you got a stock that has a wick up and a wick down, they're trying to decide. You got a fight here between the bulls and the bears. You know from my pink line here that we've got support line here. If you look at it on the weekly, if you're a subscriber, and this video is for my subscribers of our service, they already have the lines. You see this fight going on. You know you're right above this weekly thing you've been fighting for weeks and weeks and weeks. Here's your decision candle. The next morning, bulls won. Opened up, not one penny drawdown, and put in a very big day for this particular stock. It's $1 and something. And that was on your daily chart. And now that's where it broke back into the bull zone on the daily that day. And that level is $33.78. So far it's up 85 cents. It's got trend stability. It's got the separation here, the power, and it's trying to come on up out of a very long base on a daily chart. And you can look at your own daily and you can see this really long base has been fighting this weekly trend line that we've been talking about. This line was drawn on a weekly chart way back here. The low of that weekly bar is $32.69. The line is $32.54. So this week, 4 weeks before, had made that lowest low. And then the previous pivot low that it tried to hold was $34.40. That was the previous spot it tried to hold. It wasn't an old low. It was a created low because the line doesn't exist before it got there. So it created that pivot low, came back, took it out again. So that's a level as well. And now we've closed above $34.40 on our daily. So that's a pretty deep look into that chart. I can't look that deep into this many stocks. That's why I'm trying to take the time on the weekends to put you out a video with some teaching on it. Autodesk is a stock that I watch a lot for day trading purposes. Many days it's a chop fest. I don't mess with it. Other days it breaks out. We've been really watching this a lot. You got this big gap down here. You're in the gap now. This was the high of the gap down, 114.46. We've closed at 115.91. The day before closed at 113.26, below the high of the gap down. So now we've cleared that level. We also got above the 50-day. This went into bull zone multiple days ago. I'm going to bring this chart up. It's the last one we're going to look at. I'm bringing just the whole chart. Hold on, I got to find this. This is a weekly chart. And of course, this big weekly bar doesn't show that gap down, but that's where it occurred. We're going to go back to the daily. Did hold a 50-week 50 is what I wanted to show you 2 weeks ago. It got back above it, or gap down below it, got back above it, tested it, continued on up. This is not a stock they're going to keep down for a long period of time. I think this earnings miss was the first time ever in years. And it was a pretty big miss. So it stayed down here for quite some time. I'm not sure when the next earnings is. That would be something you need to be aware of. On the daily, it came back into my bull zone. This is a prime example it had a couple of really nice days on this break here up to the high, so a short-term swing trade for 2 days or a option trade would have been pretty profitable here. Keeping this on your watch list, this yellow bar stayed lit up all these days. Now it pulled back, it lost the check mark for the bull zone on this day. Little doji candle here. It maintained the yellow stripe. Now this was a breakout day, so this was the end of the week. This was still there. I quit tracking it after 5 days, so we didn't actually have the watch list up with the yellow bar going still maintained right here. The next day it broke back into the bull zone. Well, it wasn't the same bull zone as before. The original breakout was right around here at 109. The first day it showed up on a daily bull zone. The level was 109.22. Now it advanced on up to 113. It's pulled back, and as time progressed, the bull zone makes a new level every single day, higher, even in these sideways days. So the bull zone, when it broke out 2 days ago, the level was 112.98. So now we're tracking it again. 112.98 on this day. Put this back in the bull zone and was on the chart 2 days ago. And I'm going to bring that over to you. We're going to wind this video up. Bring a watch list over. So this was 1 day ago. So this was Thursday's day when this broke out at 112.98. New bull zone level. So far it's up $2.93 from the second break. Not from the first break. If you were still in from the first break on a longer term swing trade, it's advanced all the way from the 109 level. So it's up $6. If you got in, did a couple of days trade, got back out, this was your signal to come back in. And when I featured this stock on Thursday night's video and showed you where it broke up through the bull zone here, again, I also at that point in time you were able to see that the power part that's indicating more move, the momentum still intact, was still there even when it fell out of the bull zone. You were able to see that down here when we brought this back in and featured it on Thursday night's video. Now our intraday subscribers were able to pick this up at 112.98 intraday on this day, which was right toward the end of the day. It closed at 113.26. And then it broke on through on Friday, got through the 50-day. That's a big deal. Now we're in the gap. We crossed the high of the highest candle from the gap down. This should progress up. Next level to worry about is up here at this next plotted old resistance level at $119.73. This top of my list for day trade on Monday or Tuesday. And if it pulls back to the 50, it's also lining up with this old resistance level plotted here. Nothing to do with any of this. Back in the history, this stock ran up even further back than this, way back. Even further back than this. This line's been here all this time. This little green line represents this line, which represents way back a place this stock ran up and rejected right here. This big gap up, the highest high was 114.68, and the value of this little line in in this little box over here, so the bottom green number is 114.68. So my system shows me that I have a resistance level that was established from May of 2017. I don't have to go back and look at this because I don't care. I already know it was a level that it rejected. That's what the green line means. It ran up to that point and rejected, whether it be on an hourly chart, daily chart, weekly chart, monthly chart. So that was a resistance level at a point in time. And now it's cleared that as well. So Monday morning or Tuesday morning, if this stock gaps down and holds this level of this 50-day, a pull back to that and then an explosion back up wouldn't surprise me at all. It may not pull back at all. It may gap up and go. But that's an opportunity if it does. Hope you learned something. You watched this video in segments, I'm sure, to get to this point. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I hope you're learning something. I hope you're making money. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel while you're watching our video. You can follow us on Stock Twits and Twitter, Day Trader Setups. And you can type in www.daytradingcharttalk.com. It'll take you right to this that we feature these videos on the weekends. And that's Day Trader Setups on Twitter and Stock Twitch. Daytradersetups.com is our website. And premium alerts.swingtradersetups.com will take you over to tell you about what we got going on over there. Swingtradersetups.com also. And that's $69 a month for our real-time live alerts on our website. And remember, that does not include all 5,000 symbols like you see us scanning here. That includes about 475 symbols we're watching intraday on the intraday alerts. And then at night I try to bring you all those and more on the end of day video, which usually the ones that are not on that are the slower moving stocks and you can make a longer, slower decision about. Don't forget, you can go back to the beginning of this video where I opened up these watch lists for you, and you can pause and you'll be able to see every single symbol that was alerted in the last week. We appreciate you watching our videos. Look forward to seeing you next week.